Hello and welcome to the Perth Bluebaggers pod. I'm Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
Today we will preview our round 3 clash with the Western Bulldogs and also preview our round 4 clash against Collingwood. So let's get into a bit of a review of that really disappointing game against the Western Bulldogs.
Look, if you watched that first quarter, you just thought everything had clicked.
Yeah.
You know, we just had everything going well. We were linking up really well.
Lowering eyes.
Yeah, look, there was many aspects. Lowering eyes, you mentioned, we're looking for our forwards. There was a lot of composure in the way we're going about things. By contrast, the Bulldogs, whilst they had some opportunities, they were a bit, they weren't quite focused, and they were rushing things. They were booting it long. We had our defence was quite good.
Yeah.
4 goals to none. We're looking pretty good.
Keeping them goalless in the first quarter. It's pretty impressive.
It was good. Now they did miss a couple of shots early, admittedly, but even so, we were looking good. Even the second quarter, we kicked 3 goals to 4. We were outscored by 1 goal, but we still had a pretty handy lead. 3-goal lead at half time. So you've got to be pretty happy with the first 2 quarters, really. And as just seems to be the Groundhog Day every single time at the moment with this team, our second half we faded away.
Yeah.
So we kicked 2 goals to 5 in the third quarter, and that's when we lost our lead. And then really we let them run over the top of us. We actually led the vast majority of that game. It was about 90% of that game we led.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they kicked the last 2 goals of the game that they beat us. It was just incredibly frustrating. We should have won this match, and you sort of left wondering what could have been again.
Indeed.
Yeah, so it was frustrating, and there was plenty of players that we've got a 5-4-3-2-1. There were players that play well, but I think that I really reckon they should swing the axe and make a few changes now, because you kids can't have this happen week in, week out.
Yep. So 5-4-3-2-1 votes.
Oh, look, for 5 goals, it's pretty hard to go past Brodie Kemp. His best day as a forward at the club. And on a day like this, for him to kick 5 goals, it really made the most of his opportunities. Sometimes people are a bit down on him, in front of goal. We only kicked 11 goals for the game, and he kicked 5 of them.
Yeah.
So it's 5 goals won. So
only 1 miss.
Only 1 miss. So he's got to be pretty happy with that return.
Yes.
So, a bit of a shining light. And we weren't sure about how Brodie Kemp had gone in the forward trial. And he got another opportunity because Harry was out. And he made the most of it. And that's got to bode well for him staying up forward.
Yep.
Georgie Hewitt, I thought, was really solid all day. Continues to be really effective. Not only did he get 27 touches, but he had 9 tackles. That's a big deal because we want to see the pressure going on. So, I thought he was probably the second best player on field. And he is a common ingredient. He's had a pretty good start to the year. We should have had him in the underrated one, because he is a bit underrated, I reckon.
I'm very much an underrated midfielder.
Just a really, really effective player. Look, the other guy for 3 votes, TDK, was really effective. I thought he had the 7 clearances, which is a really good impact for a ruckman. The 28 disposals. For ruckman to be getting that many was really impressive. 8 marks, 4 tackles as well. It's just another good all-round game. You're talking about one of the best players, I think, in the league at the moment. It's just a bit of a shame we're not getting the results. So, but you couldn't ask for much more than TDK from TDK, could you?
Yeah.
Look, I thought the one guy down back who is really settling into his role well is Jack Silvani. And I think he had the better of Norton. I know Norton popped up to kick that very late goal.
Well, funny enough, guess who was on the bench at that time?
Yeah. Well, this is another thing when we'll talk about game day tactics, but He was on the bench at a crucial time, having kept Aaron Norton quiet that whole time, and he pops up and kicks a goal really late. So, but he's pretty hard to beat 1-on-1. So, and that's what you want out of a defender. So 2 votes for him. Probably it's a little bit of a difficult one. Often is for the 1 vote. Look, I think I might go probably with Adam Chera. He had the 26 touches, 8 clearances. He was pretty instrumental. 4 tackles. He was a pretty effective player, particularly strong in the first half. I think that he's had not a bad year, all things considered, Chera. So I'm going to give him the 1 vote.
Yep, mine does not vary much to that at all. Only with Chera and Silvani swapped, but I think Sauce is actually probably better than Chera. Let me see if there's any sort of stats that should be highlighted. For Brody Kemp, 8 score involvements, 7 marks and 4 tackles, as long as those 5 goals. George Hewitt, 13 contested possessions, always gets the contested possessions, 8 clearances. TDK always gets contested possessions, he got 19 that game, 7 clearances, 8 intercepts, and 2 goal assists. So that shows a bit of versatility. Chera, 502 metres game, along with his 26 disposals, 9 inside 50s, 8 clearances, and 18 press racks. And another thing about Sauce, 88% disposal efficiency, which is good to see. And he had 9 spoils as well.
And that's a pretty good day out for you back as a backman, isn't it? That's the thing to remember. A little bit on game day tactics.
Underrated.
Oh, sorry, we missed the underrated. Look, gee, it's a little bit hard for me to find someone that stood out. A little bit hard.
I reckon Wheaters.
Yeah, but can you say he's underrated?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I could have Wheaters in my underrated list. There's a couple of... If I'd done this in the first quarter, maybe Cottrell, because he had a good first quarter, but I didn't think he finished the game as well, and he wasn't alone. There was plenty of others.
Curnow got 3 goals in that first half, then unfortunately couldn't get any more after that.
He is, but I won't call him underrated.
No, I'm just saying, go through most of these players.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to find a specific player that I'm trying to think that's had a fantastic game that's underrated. I thought Lockie Fogarty put on some good pressure early.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is quite a few of these boys played pretty well early and weren't quite as good at the end when we really needed them.
Yeah.
Even Zach Williams is up and about early, but he got injured early, So
that great run through the midfield to set up to Charlie. That was great to see. Exactly what we want to see with that speed. But yeah, and then he got injured, which apparently, according to reports, that it's not that bad.
It doesn't seem to be too serious. That's a good thing. There's something funny about him as a player, Williams. We seem to play better when he's in the team, Zach Williams.
Yeah.
Even if he's not doing a lot himself, he seems to make the players around him play a little bit better. I think he's a bit of an X factor about him. He's quite quick. He moves the ball fast. He can put the ball into awkward positions for defenders. It's a bit like Ollie Hollands was playing like, not Ollie Hollands, the other one, Elijah Hollands.
Yeah.
Was a bit like that, who just seemed to lift the team when he's around. So we definitely missed him going down.
Yep. Speaking of Elijah Hollands, he completed a VFL practice match, I think, or inter-club practice match. So, but he's still a few weeks away.
I think Harry played as well.
And also Harry.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It's good to see them out in the park. Of course, you can't rush that, but we really need them when they're back fit and healthy.
Yeah. Game day tactics.
Yeah, the game day tactics. Look, we were keen for them to go a bit smaller. That didn't happen. And whilst there were some benefits of some of our tools, Lewis Young kicked a couple of early goals.
Yeah.
Charlie kicked 3 first half goals. Of course, Brody kicked 5.
I reckon Lewis Young is a good call for underrated then.
Yeah. So, but I think what happened, the problem was, again, we got outran late.
Yeah.
And that still makes me think that a little bit more leg speed and a little bit more endurance would be very helpful.
Yeah.
I would have thought, So I think that's still something that's important and something we'd like to see more of. Look, late in the game, there were a number of key players that were on the bench, not just for a short while, but for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And that couldn't have helped our attempts to win the match.
No.
Surely not. At least we didn't see Cripps in the ruck.
4 minutes to go, you had Chera, Charlie Curnow, Sam Walsh on the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really surprised me, really. Lewis Young was used as the second ruckman. That was a better move than Cripps, I reckon. And go some way, it probably helps him cement his position in the team. But like I said, JSOS can also perform that role, but maybe JSOS is so good down the back, But at least that frees up Cripps to be Cripps. So that was a good move. But yes, I think so many key players being off for a long period of time in the last quarter didn't help us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've that's a bit of the wash-up of the Hawthorn match. The Bulldogs match, I should say.
And then we preview Collingwood, the filth.
Now, what a match this is going to be. At 0-3 against the old enemy. We really need to win this one. There's a fair bit riding on us. Don't want to put pressure on the boys, but you really don't want to be starting a season 0-4.
Nope.
So, there's probably not any way to get around that. They need to just go out there and embrace that pressure. Understand that's part of being a professional footballer. And really make the most of it. There'll be a lot of Colton fans there.
Yeah.
There'll be a big Blues contingent. So
there's a Collingwood home game, but I'm sure
that there'll be a few Blues there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting. Playing Collingwood at G is always a massive match. Collingwood, for their part, I mean, they've just done what they needed to do largely, without being spectacular.
They're coming off a bye.
They've won one, lost one, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, lost. Not very. They got comprehensively beaten by GWS in opening round, I believe, and then they demolished Port Adelaide. I think has that been their 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh no, they had another game. Who was it?
Lost to Giants, flogged Port, and then had a 1-goal win against the Dogs. Now, given they've beaten the Dogs and we lost them, we've got to start underdogs here. But we've said this many times on the Perth Blue Baggers pod. If we play our best, we can match any team.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a case of composure and getting ourselves in the right mind space, right head space for the second half.
Yeah. And
we can absolutely stick it to teams. They've just got to believe that they can do it.
So you're saying that could be a quick fix with sort of a mental change?
I think there's this
running out games.
How is it? I know that there could be an endurance thing, but it's not just endurance. If you look at the composure that we played with in the first half, particularly first quarter, versus what we're doing at the end of that game, tell me that there's not something else going on.
I think you just need a bit of confidence. We need to win a very close game, and what better way to do that against the old foe? Like a close win would be great.
It'd be all right. It'd be pretty handy, and be always good to get one over the Pies.
I just have a feeling.
Well, I'm glad you do. I'm not as confident this week. Perhaps don't ask me for my prediction.
Okay. I'll go by 3 points. 3-point thriller. Carl to win. Bang. Season back on track.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we knock off the Pies, I reckon they'll get a huge lift out of that.
Yeah.
Huge lift. So that would be a massive fill-up for us. And then we've got the Eagles after that. So, you could get back to 2 and 3. You can't take any game for granted.
As we've learnt.
Can't take any game for granted, but there's an opportunity for us to get back on track.
Very much so. Okay, so that will do us. Nice short episode this time. So make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and also share it around too. We really want to keep this podcast building. So thank you for tuning in. Up the Baggers.
Can the Blues.